Good evening, everyone. Of course, all the news yesterday, today, and tomorrow no doubt revolves around Artemis, 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 Artemis. And did I mention Artemis? However, it's a money day, interestingly, in a lot of places. Gravitic's got 60 million from Space Force. SpaceX has laid out their IPO roadshow details and when they'll approximately start doing that. However, there's also some losses. A Scottish spaceport records a £5 million loss, and ESA spent a whopping 82 million euros to launch a single satellite on an Ariane 6. Let that sink in. Capella Space won a $45 million contract for military communications demos. The new Russian orbital station, they're saying, will be deployed by 2034. PLD Space secured a 30 million euro investment bank loan, and an outfit called Starfish Space, close to Michael there, raises $100 million Series B. And all that, and our guest tonight, Mordy Friedman, talking about space elevators. From the news desk at the Center for Space Commerce and Finance, my name is Thomas Andrew Olson, and this is The Unknown Quantity. And of course, as you know, this program is brought to you by the Center for Space Commerce and Finance. And what do? Of course, we champion and strengthen emerging space startups and space adjacent enterprises worldwide through advisory, access, and advocacy. Our pitch events and our world-class boot camps fortify startups to be better investor ready. Now, a lot of our work, especially the show, is supported by listeners and fans like you. So just go to cscf.space/support and click that Plainest Day donate button. A little in the tip jar each month makes a big difference. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell your friends. And speaking of friends, my oldest space friend, Michael Lane, who just got a new pet peacock, is here with me. Michael, come on in, man. Aren't peacocks a bit noisy? In your yard?
They are
all the time.
They are. My grandmother had peacocks for years. Up here in the Pacific Northwest, they're actually all over the place. They're out here. They're out here. But
it's a religious symbol.
Put it out there. Right. Not a pet I would likely to have. I'm not that guy. But how's things? What's going on?
Okay. I was on a call today with some people who still want to do an Asteroid Day event in Australia. And the guys, he says he can get sponsorships. They're floating some big money around. Cool. We just have to, right now, the problem they're having is the problem I might be able to help them solve. It's 30 years in the industry. You get a Rolodex. You get to know people.
Right.
So,
right.
Because he's wanting to, he needs for this program to succeed. We're writing it all up right now. I'm working with some people, with the Luxembourg group in particular, but it's a guy in Australia that's, running this. And so what he's trying to do, he wants to get the Australian Space Agency to sign off on it.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, it's so bureaucratic over there. It's so bureaucratic down under. Like, if you want to open any doors at all, some government agency has to sprinkle holy water on what you're doing, and then thousands of doors open up, especially in academic institutions where he wants to promote some of this. And so the idea is the center will be brought in to manage a rather large-scale business plan competition, a pitch event.
I love that.
Because if we do this right and we get some Australian Space Agency sign off, he's talking about finding sponsors, $500,000, $1 million, something like that. So it's nothing to sneeze at. It's something to work on. So that's it. I'm doing in addition to everything else I'm doing right now.
Well, it's part of the job, right?
Yep.
It's what you do. That's awesome
But
for
it's I know a guy that can give him some entree to the Australian Space Agency because in his own way he helped start it,
right.
which was our guest the other night.
I think I'm pretty sure who you're talking about, but you're dancing around the name, so I won't say
Yep.
it.
And he's already saying, I was writing him an email while I was on that call this morning. I heard back from him a couple hours ago. I said, yeah,
Excellent.
no problem. So
Sure.
on our way.
It's good to know people.
What's up with
Nice.
you, man? What's going on? There's your mom.
Things are good. We walked 3 miles yesterday, so she's doing great.
Yeah.
I'm the one who's slow because I got physical therapy on my knees, so she's out walking me right now. But yeah,
You're saying she's getting healthier than you.
She is. She's doing great. It's next month is a year since all the chaos and the near death experience. So yeah, it's really quite remarkable. Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, right. Okay, I only half joked. I was saying everything is about Artemis, but I have no clips about Artemis at all. Nothing. No. But because there's so many. There's so like I go down the road at space today. It's like there's 100 different things. Artemis. Yeah. It's like
We don't really have anything new to add to the conversation. It is amazing to watch it. So excited. I was in physical therapy yesterday, and the gal who was absolutely not related to our industry at all was like, "Hey, what about those astronauts?" Like, people are paying attention.
Look, my chiropractor is like that. I saw him earlier this week for my monthly tune-up. And he's all over that. What do you think of that? And I told him where I was to see the launch. He was like, "Oh man, that was great."
Right. Yeah, I was talking to somebody. There's a group called the Human Space Program. Frank White, who wrote the Overview Effect. Right. It's
I know about that.
Yeah, I was talking to those guys earlier today, and he's like, he can't go anywhere. Right. Everybody is talking about the Overview Effect right now. Everybody, right? They don't even know that there's a phrase for it. They don't know that there's a name for it, but they're all putting their nose on the idea, right?
Well, we haven't had a real overview effect picture or video by humans in 54 years.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I love the stuff that happens at the space station, but to have the overview effect from the moon, coming back home, leaving home, having home disappear behind a mountain of a rock that we call the moon, and then reemerge, like that's a hell of a week, right? It's neat stuff. Yeah.
Aren't they coming home tomorrow? Isn't that tomorrow late? Tomorrow sometime?
Yeah. It's off the coast of San Diego.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a 30% scrub because of rain as of yesterday. I don't know if that number's been updated today.
I don't know how you scrub.
Well, they just redirected to a different place. You can't have rain within 35 miles of the drop zone. So they just push it off to the left or right, forward, backward, whatever it is. I mean, they're coming home one way or the other.
Yeah. We weren't planning on Texas, but
right. Yeah. No, it's exciting. It's super exciting. Yeah. All right, let's get to the news though. What do we got?
Okay, well, this is something that actually Dallas told us about. Last time. I wanted to lead with that, get that out of the way because it's really cool. Gravitics was selected by the Space Force for a $60 million STRATFI grant or funding to demonstrate revolutionary orbital carriers. And when I think about revolutionary orbital carriers, of course, in our world, I think of our guest next Thursday. But
right,
talking about shipping containers.
Yeah.
So it's not. These things aren't built for that. They're more of a defense type thing, but it's cool. The picture's cool.
Yeah, it's if you want to call it a spacecraft carrier, not an aircraft carrier.
Right.
really I kind of wonder what's in it. I want to remind you, Tom, Colin Doohan took our program in Austin about 6 years ago. He was a competitor in our competition,
Mhm.
not the same business, but that's the
Right.
same guy. So good on him for learning what he needed to learn, because they've raised a lot. So StratFi is an interesting animal. It is, you have to raise half, and then the government will match half.
Mhm.
So there's one program that gives you a quarter. So in this case, $15 million. Another program where you find a client within the U.S. government, could be anybody, could be the forestry department, but in this case, it's probably Space Force. And they come up with $15 million, and then you go and find
Right.
venture money to match.
Right.
And
Right.
the government won't put their money in until you've got the venture
Until
money.
you've got the thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, Cots was kind of that way too.
yeah, yeah.
So I mean, that's just nothing new.
So
Uh,
that's
I
a
want I want
that's
to
a
throw
oh, go
I
ahead.
want to I want to throw something in here before we move too far
Yeah,
forward, because Doug Plata just joined us, and since we were just off of Artemis for a minute,
right.
he asked, "Do you think that the Artemis 2 excitement means we've been deprived of an exciting space program because the ISS has consumed our budget for more than 2 decades?"
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I can
How's
say a
that?
lot more than yes, but I'm going to say it.
I know, but God, that we could do a show around that.
Right,
Probably should.
right. Yeah, to Dr. Plata, I think that's really true. Like what's that phrase? We've been going around in circles for
Yeah.
25 years. And hats off to the folks that do the circles, right? I'm not knocking that, but it certainly isn't the moon, and it
Yeah.
certainly isn't Mars. And if you think about 25 years at 3 billion a year, that chews up 20% of NASA's budget, maybe 25% of NASA's budget. Yeah, it constrained us. It
Yeah,
did.
well, Zubrin said the same thing 30 years ago
Yeah,
about, and he's talking about the shuttle at that time. He's
yeah,
saying, going around in circles, and we're going, look, if we have a space program, shouldn't it go somewhere?
yeah.
And that was kind of the question then, and now finally we're 30 years later, we're going somewhere.
Well,
I'd like us to keep going somewhere, however
call,
we get there.
calling it an orbital laboratory just put lipstick on a pig.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love the International Space Station. It is the most complicated machine humans have ever built, and yes, I think it's more complicated than like the CERN super collider. Like, I think it's a pretty complicated machine. I'm
Mm-hmm.
impressed by it from that perspective. But yeah, it'd be nice to go. It'd be nice to go.
Yeah, it would. Okay, next up,
Well,
SpaceX
I
lays
want
out.
to say one more thing about gravitic.
Ah!
I know, but all right. A, they're in our backyard, so shout out to Seattle. B, perseverance, right? Because these folks raised about $20 million in 2020, 2021,
Mm-hmm.
spent through it, didn't get the follow-on capital that they were hoping for, basically laid everybody off, but 6 guys and the janitor, and now they're back. Like, so perseverance in this industry pays off. So hats off to the folks at Gravitics. Super impressed by that. And they come back with more money than they had originally. So
Yeah,
I
good for
love.
them.
So
Good for
that's
them.
it. That's my
Okay.
edge. Go
All
ahead.
right. Well, I can zip through this next one, then we can get to some other thing.
Yeah,
I saw
sure.
a clip briefly that just said CNBC that said SpaceX has laid out their IPO details,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess they're targeting an early June roadshow. So that's a big deal because they're having an event in June and they're hosting 1,500 retail investors.
Oh my God, it's a
Yeah,
feeding frenzy.
my God. And they just say, the CFO says, well, retail is going to be a critical part of this and a bigger part than any IPO in history.
Right? Well, they're counting on it. They're counting on the meme stock element. They're counting on the the Tesla bro dudes that are the super fanboys. They're counting on that. They're talking about this being a meme stock, not just a rationally priced.
Exactly.
You're not going to use the same metrics that you do for General Motors or Walmart to evaluate this stock.
You can't.
Yeah, it's a meme stock, which I was like, ooh, I don't think I like that term. But,
right. But
yeah.
I keep one of these guys, doing all this talking. I keep expecting him to start sounding like Trump after a while. It's going to be huge. It's going to be the bigger that we've ever done before in our history.
Right.
Where's Trump when you need him, right?
It'll be a golden battleship.
We'll make a golden IPO.
Right.
No, he has to go blow up shit. Okay.
Well, so this 1,500 retail investors, right? So they have committed 30% of this IPO to quote the little guys, right? The individual investors. That's both remarkable and a little bit ballsy, but I think it also plays to the meme stock idea that they are anticipating non-rational enthusiasm to buoy this investment. So I'm really curious. Like
this is what Greenspan used to call irrational exuberance.
Irrational exuberance. Oh, I forgot about
and that was when the Dow was 6,000.
Right?
I was saying that shit.
Oh man. It all makes me wonder if you should short it on like day number 2. Like if there's going to be a bump and then a crash of reality. But I'm not the doomsayer kind of guy. I'm not a short kind of person. But I do wonder what those first 5 trading days are going to look like.
Well, you'll wonder where some people get to do that anyway, because we had our conspiracy theory night, and we never said anything about all those guys who shorted the airline stocks just before 9/11.
Yeah, right.
We never did solve that one.
No, they didn't, but they did make a James Bond movie out of it.
Yes, they did.
Script, yeah.
Yep, and rightfully so.
Yeah. Hey, I want to say hi to all of our viewers. Thanks a lot, Jason, everybody, Doug. Thank you so much.
A lot of folks coming in. Welcome, everyone. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Love you.
Yeah.
Love you. It'll be a fun night with these people. Yep. They always have great things to say. Okay, so we don't usually talk about losses much, but today I had a couple of things. One is an actual loss on paper, and the other one should have been. The first one is that the one vertical spaceport that they have in Scotland that flies on a lot of different payloads, they suffered a record 5 million, actually it's 5.4 million pound loss. How do you run a spaceport when you're losing money? You have to go usually tap somebody when that happens.
Right.
Yeah. And you know how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the commercial spaceport in America has always been a little bit teetering on the edge. So that's
because they built for horizontal and vertical became the thing.
Yep.
And the vertical market got overcrowded because there wasn't enough places to launch out of.
Yep.
But it's hard to pivot. If you're already a horizontal spaceport, it's hard to pivot to a vertical model. And it cost almost as much as the original, probably. Thinking. Prove me wrong, somebody, please.
Yeah.
But so there's that. Then there's the one, this is just a criminal waste of money. And so I don't know how these people stay in business doing this. But I know why, because it's ESA.
It's ESA.
They spent 82 million euros, that's about 110 million US dollars, to launch a single satellite on an Ariane 6. Those are 1960s prices.
Oh my God.
Come on, think about it. How many satellites are going up on a Falcon 9 or a Falcon Heavy?
Right.
Dozens of little satellites. but even the big ones don't have to pay that much. I mean, because they could have come here.
You could have bought an entire
advertises its prices publicly. It's right
right,
there. That's it.
right.
This is what you pay.
Here's $65 million with room to spare. What else do you want to go on it, right? But again, this comes back to sovereignty. This comes back to the question of look, we paid the Russians, what was it, $65 million per flight, per person, per seat, to keep our space shuttle program, our International Space Station components going.
Yeah.
This is what sovereignty gets, the focus on a European for Europeans program. That's the price they're willing to pay for sovereignty.
Yeah.
I get why they do it. I don't think it was smart, but I get why they do it. But somebody should be fired for this decision, just like people should have been fired over some of the early Artemis programs and gateway.
Do these Euro bureaucrats ever get fired? Do they fire anybody, or do they just shuffle them somewhere else and everyone forgets their name for a while?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, 82 million. What'd you say the conversion was?
About 105, 110 US.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right.
For one satellite. I mean,
2 flights for that.
I don't know how giant a satellite is. I mean, because we used to do nothing but big satellites.
Right.
They're going out to, GEO.
Right.
And those were huge. And they were probably, and they just barely fit inside the fairing. And unless it was a satellite like that, I don't know enough about that. It doesn't say, how big it is or what it's going to do. But that's a really old school launch, man. That's a 60s, 70s era kind of price tag. So I hope it was worth it to them. I don't know what they're getting out of it.
All right. I just pulled it up. Copilot says it's 21 meters long. So that's pretty big. That is a single rocket launch.
About 70 feet, 75 feet. Yeah.
Yeah, 2.5 meters wide and 4 meters tall. So it's pretty big. It's pretty big, but still, you could have gotten 2 flights for that price tag if you'd gone to SpaceX.
Yep.
I don't know if Blue could have handled it because they're not moving that big a cargo. I don't think. But those are the only 2 games in town over on this side of the pond.
Absolutely. Now, our producer is telling us we have 2 more news items to share. And you know what?
Right.
You know what I do when he says that?
Yeah.
I do 3. And 3 is all we got left. We can do this quick. It'll be fun. Okay, the first one. PLD Space secures a 30 million euro European Investment Bank loan. So that's, money going in. And they did this just a month after already closing a 180 million euro Series C. And so it's a Spanish service provider called PLD Space. They got a loan. I don't know what they're doing with it. Will fund the final development stage of the Miura 5 rocket. They didn't disclose the terms. They said the financing would take the form of venture debt, which is to be paid directly over time. Okay, I get it.
It's another debt instrument. We've seen 3 of them this year. We talked about one big one in January that was the XM Bank, another one in February, I think Stoke, and then this one. Yeah, so debt is becoming a part of this package. I love it. Every time I see it,
it's part of the sovereign thing. The EU's Commissioner for Defense and Space said this is why the European Union is committed to ensuring independent and reliable access to space.
Right.
And by backing innovative European companies, we're building a strong, competitive, resilient launch industry. So there you go.
There you go.
Now let's move. We move over to Starfish Space. This began life as a space news article. I couldn't do it because you can't get in, so I found something on their own site.
Right,
and they just raised over $100 million in a Series B.
Yep.
Satellite servicing business. It's led by Point72 Ventures, Activate Capital, and Shield Capital co-led the round, and so also NFX, Toyota, PSL. And a bunch of others.
Another point to Perseverance. These guys in 2021, I think, might have been 2022.
Yep.
They crashed their first effort. It went up. Their Otter Pup mission, it went up. It promptly went sideways. It took them 3 months to recover it. They did recover it, and in the way that they recover it, they patented it, made that patent available to other people, and here they are. Perseverance.
This is,
That's what it takes in this sector.
and they're one of your neighbors. They're based in Tukwila, Washington. So there you,
You know,
go.
Aaron Hartman from JP Morgan, shout out to those folks. He just tracked that the Seattle region has booked over $300 million in the last 3 weeks. And we're well over $1 billion so far this year. So the Seattle space sector, it's
booming, man.
Every level. Yeah.
It's booming. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Very quickly, final. A guy named Vladimir Kozhennikov, he delivered a presentation at the Roscosmos team for the Future Forum during Space Week 2026, and he claims that the new Russian orbital station can be fully deployed by 2034.
That's got to be taking parts of their current ISS that they said last week was going to be separated. I mean, I'm guessing that.
Maybe some of that could be true. He didn't mention that, but he represents RSC Energia, which is part of Roscosmos. I mean, they build a lot of stuff, so it'll be interesting. Yep, they approved. Russia approved that same good old-fashioned orbital inclination, so it matches the orbit of ISS, and they're going to they plan to become a key platform, sovereignty again, all on their own for deep space exploration.
Right
so,
on.
yeah.
I know Sean's trying to give us the boot here. Shout out to another Seattle company, Portal Space, just raised $50 million.
Yep.
Announced this morning. So they are doing space tugs. So good job, Portal. Thanks. Good adding more to the ecosystem here.
Okay. And so let's move ahead. This is your topic tonight, space elevators. And here is, and let's bring in our returning guest tonight, Mordy Friedman, who is also happens to be the CEO of his own company called World Space Elevator Competitions. And we're going to get some news from him about what's going on in his world. Mordy, welcome back, man.
Hey, thank you for having me. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Okay, start out with us like a 1-minute bio just to remind our audience who you are and how you ended up here.
Yeah, so my name is Mordy. Again, ultimately, we're focusing on building the space elevator and really believe that that's how we access space and the only way to really scale space access. So in doing that now, in development, we have an organization, WSpec, as mentioned, World Space Elevator Competitions, and we host STEAM competitions globally for university teams around the world to continue developing this technology and ultimately accelerate the creation of a space elevator.
Cool. So how is that going? Obviously, you're probably you want to start competitions. I'm not sure what your plan is for when these first competitions would take place. What are your fundraising goals? How well you doing? All the goodies.
Yeah. Okay. So I think last time we got it was still before our Japan competition. So since then we've hosted the Japanese competition and really learned how to host the competitions, got all that experience there. And from that, really created the model. So shifting slightly from hosting one event globally once a year, which becomes very seasonal, we're now hosting three competitions in this cycle. So we have an upcoming competition in Kazakhstan, then in Europe, and then in the US after that. And this there's many advantages of why we're doing it like this. Basically, because if we have a lot of competitions, we're able to grow on it. We're able to become better at doing them, scale what we're able to do. I don't know if you know the cadence of us launching a lot of them. It's obviously easier for students to join regionally. That's something we realized by going to different regions. There's different school schedules. There's different, obviously, travel logistics become more complicated in certain regions. And then, yeah, so it's much easier if we do them regionally based on continents or based on a subcontinent. And then obviously from a business perspective, it's a much more strategic way of doing it, where we're not just a seasonal company. We actually have continuous operations throughout the year. Helps for cash flow and continuously doing things that really allow us to host that. So, yep, upcoming competition in Kazakhstan. That's already in the books. That's in August. Yeah, it's for Central Asia region. Again, timed with that. That's the August competition we were talking about last time. And then after that, we do upcoming competitions for this year.
No, so when you're doing these, you got these. So basically, you're doing 3 things in 3 different countries. Is it all based on one blueprint, or do things shift a little depending on the country you're in, as far as doing the thing?
Yeah, so the logistics itself definitely shifts. We do have local organizers in Kazakhstan right now, Icarus and Yurt, which are 2 local university teams that are helping us with the local logistics. And then the actual rule set, though, is exactly the same. And that's the point, is each cycle rule set will stay the same so that these teams can be judged against each other and learn from each other and really focus on the same end goal. Ultimately, the goal in a couple of years, as we have more teams feeding in, would be to have a final global finals with the best teams from the world come together and compete, and then again also allowing us to add more competitions now per region. Right now we do have the power beam competition, which is a white paper phase for this year, and the climber competition. The climber competition is the one that we're doing in Kazakhstan, and the white paper will take place at the end of the cycle as a final white paper phase, and then we'll have some of those students come in, and then continuing next year again, those all go to each location. Makes sense?
Okay.
So talk about the competition kind of globally and then like specifically. So you had the event in Japan a couple months ago. Kazakhstan is next. How many students, how many teams are you thinking are involved? How many students are out there? More importantly, is it too late to join a team, or can you start a team? How many teams are there?
Yeah, definitely never too late to start a team. We're always, especially right now, that's a major focus of what we're doing is helping teams get started, building a welcome kit for the teams, building a mentorship program so teams can learn throughout. We also have workshops coming up, and that's another model. We do have 3 coming up to ICC. We'll talk about that in a bit. And then, yeah, there's always a welcome for new teams to join and be a part of this. With Discord there, we do have currently 8 teams for the Kazakhstan competition. Our goal is to have 20 teams actually compete by the time the competitions take place per region for this year. So 60 teams total in this cycle. That's a lot of the current day-to-day work that I'm doing currently, is meeting with a lot of these teams one-on-one, really discussing the competitions, what they need, what we can help them with, what they, and just really opening that connection. And yeah, there's a lot of great interest. So every robotics team that we've already reached out to is interested. Again, obviously there's capacity, obviously there's the ability to do it, and then there's the build time itself. There is a point where it will become too close. But even for the August competition, if you're in the Kazakhstan region, the Central Asia region, there's still enough time now to get a team started and yeah.
So what's the nitty gritty? What are you trying to win? What do you have to build to accomplish what, to win what? What's the nitty gritty here?
So for the robotics competition, you're building a robot that can climb up and down a vertical tether while carrying a payload. They get judged based on an equation that's in the rulebook. It's basically based on the efficiency of the climber versus its weight versus how much payload it can carry to its weight, the speed that it travels at. It does have to come also to a controlled stop at some point. So that's another factor of what it's doing. It's supposed to go up and down. And then ultimately the full time of its travel. So it's full up and down, and then based on how much energy it uses too. So these are all. So the Kazakhstan competition is a 100-meter balloon.
100 meters?
That was for logistical reasons over there. Yeah, so that's.
And how much do they carry? What's the load?
The load is 25 kilograms total. So that's
25 kilos, 300 meters. All right. And how fast are teams doing it now so far? What's the time to beat?
So again, it really depends on the team. Some teams are going for speed, and some teams are going for payload.
Sure, it's a
So
ratio. I understand that.
But yeah, so the teams are doing some really quick teams, doing 125 kilometers an hour, Japanese competition. So that's that
125 kilometers. All right.
meters.
So they're only going. Wait, you said 125 kilometers an hour, but you're only climbing 300 meters. So they're moving pretty fast.
Yeah, they like zip up, and then there's ones that carry 100. There was one, at the past competition in Japan that carried 100. It was 100, 120, 140 kilograms of weight. Yeah, but going a lot slower. That was a slow climb. So it really varies there. Again, obviously with that competition, we had to anchor to the side of a mountain, so didn't have to worry about the weight overall. Now we're gonna have the balloon, but then from a business perspective, again, that balloon is an asset that we depreciate over the competition. So again, also talks to that multiple competitions a year.
So it's tethered to a balloon in the sky, 300 meters up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's quite a spectacle. That's going to be fun.
Yeah. I'm assuming like anything, like any project, like you've got you're opening it to the public, you're selling tickets, I guess, and and you're but in different countries, different languages. What's your marketing plan look like?
Yeah,
locally.
So that's a lot where the local organizers come in to let us know what specifically that region is. So specifically with Kazakhstan, we do have a local workshop going to be happening just for that region, specifically to introduce the new teams, as well as now there's a booth next week in Kazakhstan that the local organizers are going to be running to introduce it at a robotics event, a local robotics event. But yeah, so that's a lot of the specific regional stuff, and then globally, again, same thing. We're promoting that for us as sponsors. We also split up that the model in the way of getting regional sponsors, and that's the one. Let's say host the specific event. Then there's obviously the global ones that will help us with the full W spec and all the regions together in the bigger picture. And again, like Mike was saying, and I guess like what you were saying earlier, really and even with you see now with Artemis and everything, we really need to. It's all about visibility at this point. The ideas are great. The ideas are here. It's just how do we get in front of people, in front of the right people to really continue it and move forward.
So Michael's telling me he can't see the chat. I don't know why Michael can't see the chat. I don't get this. We need to fix the problem. But Dallas weighed in. He asked, Dallas Beanoff, he weighed in and says, wasn't there a space elevator climber competition a few years ago with a 1 kilometer climb goal? That's okay. That's not the one I'm thinking of, because I actually went to one live in New Mexico 20 years ago.
Right. Yep.
So that was no 1 kilometer.
So you tell Tom, you tell that story, and then I'll tell the other story.
Okay. Well, yeah, that was back in the early days of this, and so we were going on, and it was kind of an overall kind of event. It was called the X Prize Cup, and there was and so they had some actual physical hardware there from various things, but part of it, there was a climber competition going up a ribbon, and these things were climbing pretty fast, but the devices had lasers trying to power them from below, and you'd see smoke coming out of these things. They're focusing mirrors on there and smoke, and I remember there was some guy standing next to me, and he looks at the thing and says, "Yeah, smoke and mirrors."
I remember that super well. Neil deGrasse Tyson was on site for that, and he was narrating some of it. So, once upon a time, Tyson was all in on elevators. I think he still supports the physics, but he's like, the engineering is tricky, and that's, I think, all they'll say about it now. So fast forward. So NASA ran a competition called the Centennial Challenges. They offered 2 different $1 million prizes, one for power beaming and one for material strength. And how they measured the power beaming was to climb a string. So the first one, and I think the second one, happened at NASA Ames Research Station. And all they did was they had a big crane, and they attached the ribbon down to the ground, And so that was only, maybe there were 6 or 7 teams, not very many, especially in the beginning. But over time, it was eventually won, I believe, in 2010. And it was a kilometer high. They rented a helicopter to carry the cable, and that's what they had to win. That's what it took to win, was to climb a kilometer suspended from a helicopter. So those were crazy days. The first version of Liftport was out of business at that point, so I was not involved with that final competition. There were people that used to work for me that were on those teams, and some of the people who used to work for me won. So hats off to those folks. But yeah, it was a tough competition. It was. Yeah, it was fun. So, Mordy, you're not at that stage yet. You're not offering $1 million in prizes yet. You don't have companies and teams coming in from all around the world yet, but that's where you're headed.
Yeah. Again, exactly. That's the point. It's really finding those common denominators. What can we work on now? What can we consistently get developed and get research around and ideas brought forward and tested? Again, that ultimately lets us get to a space elevator, but also importantly, right, that has that practical application, that has that need for right now. And that's exactly where, money comes in, and giving prize money for someone to take that and turn it into a spinoff. The support comes in there too. Again, and then obviously from a student perspective, a lot of the learning and the hands-on experience of being able to prove yourself or show what you're capable of.
Is that why students do it? Is they want to, it's a resume builder or working on a hard problem, or do they actually care about the elevator?
So there obviously are some and some, both. Yeah, both types of students, but I think for the majority of them, it's mostly the robotics project itself, and I think that's really where, or the power beaming itself. And again, we're seeing a lot of interest in that too. So that's ultimately it's the value that we're creating, and that's, I think, more than just the actual monetary, dollar amount. And obviously there is a prize money too, for the Kaizen competition. It's $5,000 pool for both, first and second, and then. Yeah, and again, that incentivizes teams also, and obviously the traveling aspect also incentivizes them as an experience to go somewhere. But ultimately, yeah, it's a resume builder, and it really lets them show what they're capable of to these companies, to places that will potentially hire them or get them forward. And again, also on a global stage, and then in a specific technology that could have spin-off value for them, or that they can take further if they choose to.
Okay.
What kind of who are the sponsors? What are the prizes? What do you get for it? Do you have any obligations to do shout outs to your sponsors? I don't know if you do or not, but now's the time.
But generally, so right now we're very much, most of our sponsors are really focused on the space elevator itself. So a lot of companies or organizations that are focused on the space elevator as a future technology, specifically with Kazakhstan. The local organizers there focus on the region itself. Kazakhstan is a developing space country in many ways. They've been launching rockets forever, still have, still do, and then. Yeah, they're definitely a growing space country and really want to position themselves like that. So there's a lot of interest there. Like I said, that's the regional sponsorship for the regional locations. And then for the global side of it, it's very much focused on the bigger picture. Right? What is the space elevator? How do we get this out to the talent that ultimately will be the ones building the space elevator in 10 years? So a lot of the big names there. Names now, but I guess that's the general.
Okay. Veronica Ann just made a comment. She said, if you can time the marketing around Yuri's night, you might get a global audience. Any chance of that with one of these 3 events?
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. We should look into that for sure. And that's a very Yuri's night is a global. Yuri's night brings a global audience. I guess it's they usually bring people from everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm going out Saturday.
Yeah.
we got a big party up here in Seattle. Lefort sponsored Seattle's first Yuri's night at the Space Needle. It was pretty epic. Shout out to the Museum of Flight. They still put on a pretty good party, but it ain't the Space Needle. Just saying.
Yeah.
It's a good party though. It's a big
Yep.
party.
True.
Nice.
I saw.
So,
Oh, I know. I was going to ask. It was something. I know you are scheduled to be in our track at ISDC in June. You want to give us a tease about what you're going to talk about, or?
so I have a few talks at the ISDC. So definitely with the business track, everyone wants to focus on the business side of the space elevator. So going obviously WSpec as a organization now is promoting space elevator, getting that kicked off. But bigger picture, again, there's also the actual construction of the space elevator itself. We really talk about kind of what we're doing now, how that's helping the bigger development, and then of course what the plans are, after that, and how do we continue from this and really scale up the actual space elevator there. We also have, again, talk about WSpec specifically in the space elevator track, and that's where we're talking about WSpec and the current operations and the plans there. And then also we're also hosting 3 workshops at the ISDC. So 3 physical workshops, which teams build a robotic climber to basically get the considerations for the space elevator, and also start the development for future robotic climbers, or just really understanding how the space elevator works. We're doing 2 at a middle school, high school level, and then 1 at the university student and above level, and that's more of a programming or complex workshop. So those are on Thursday and Friday. And again, when you sign up for the ISDC, that'll be there. So if you're interested.
Good. And you'll be seeing me too, because I have to run that track all bloody day. I've got a busy day on Friday. I'm doing a panel on the main stage, in the morning, first thing as a plenary, just set everything off. And then I got to go through the track all day. And then everyone's going to want to drink wine after 6 o'clock. So it's going to be a late evening that day. But between the live show that we're doing,
go to ISTC.
Yep, that's what we plan for. Veronica also mentioned. I realized that of the people who are going to be competing in these competitions, are a lot of them students, or a lot of them are grad students, or these pros. There's a mix, because she mentioned that I don't know if you've talked to NASA about this. NASA has something called a Space Grant Consortium, and they might help fund the students and get them some internships before or after the event. So I don't know if that's something you've looked into.
I believe we may have looked at that, but again, I don't know specifically the answer to that. But definitely, from a joining perspective, it's mostly students. But there are a lot of private teams too, or a mix. I guess like many of the answers, there's a mix. It's a lot of variety, but that's a good thing. And again, that's exactly the point of what we're trying to do is to develop different ideas and come up with more. The space elevator itself is this long-term project, and it needs to happen for humanity. It needs to happen for us to truly access space, but we still don't know how to do it fully. There still are questions that need to be answered, and we need to find out what that is. And ultimately, by spreading the research out to a lot of people around the world, a lot of different unique ideas, and then seeing how they all work and testing them part by part, we're going to find out what the best way to do it is.
Morty, just to fill in a little bit on Veronica's point, each state has their own program, Space Grant Consortium. Each state has it, and it's usually, but not always, the biggest school in the state. So you can go to NASA's Space Grant Consortium website, find it, and you can just talk to their directors directly and say, hey, we've got this competition. This is what we're doing. These are the parameters. Can we make a presentation to your students? And they do. They have money for travel. They have money for research projects. Veronica, that is a terrific suggestion. That's very actionable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Give that a go. Yeah, 100%. Thank you. Yeah, again, also any other ideas or suggestions, again, always open to more, advice or assistance is always, it's
Oh,
never.
Dallas here is recommending some reading for you. He said, Are you aware of the book? Here it is, The Millennial Project by Marshall Savage. Its subtitle is Colonizing the Galaxy in 8 Easy Steps. A space elevator is one of the steps. So
Easy.
that's probably a good thing to promote.
Yeah.
I was talking to a sci-fi author, Dr. Jason Batt, earlier this morning. He has a pretty cool project that I'm not at liberty to talk about right now, but he's a fan of elevators, and he told me that an author that he was tracking, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name, but they were using it as aliens were using space elevators as the metric for the great filter, like when the aliens are going to contact people, like any civilization, the way that the Vulcans waited until we got warp drive to contact us. In their book, the space elevator is the mark of an advanced civilization and worthy of aliens contacting us. So I'm like, all right, well, that's cool. We're the gate post for connections. I thought that was a really fun idea. I'd never heard that before. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I was an alien, I still prefer to see that warp signature. I don't
Yeah,
know.
right.
That's just me.
Right.
These guys are really ready now, and we better get to them before they do something stupid. That's kind of how that worked. When you saw that show Enterprise later, that's what it was. Oh, the next 100 years is like, yeah, they're holding us back significantly because they thought we were just going to absolutely go out there and make a complete hash of things.
Right. Yeah.
And they probably had a point.
They probably did.
I think it's become more about why a space elevator is so important as a general project, and why it really unlocks that whole future is just right now. I mean, we're just saying, there's no mass, there's nothing that we can send. We can't test stuff. It's really, the whole space industry is built around the difficulty to get there, and we're sending photons back and forth, and that's great, and that's what we need to keep doing. And then even now with the whole chip manufacturing will be something if that gets up and running. But again, even things like that, we're really talking about scaling with a limit. And space elevators, obviously the beginning of them too will also, Saturn V, it's not going to be the most optimal version, but it's going to work. And then that allows us to scale, allows us to get beyond what we currently have significantly, just keep going there. And then again, with rapid iteration and keep constantly testing, we'll have a warp drive a few years afterward, or we'll have
hopefully. I know the guys who are working on it. So yeah, I just wish I had 50 million to hand them, but I got to become a billionaire somehow so I can hand money out. It's so frustrating. Here's the thing. How do we get from, especially as there's a space elevators, lunar elevators, whatever kind of thing, that whole idea, where when we first started talking about this years ago, the industry itself wasn't very big, and they couldn't get funding, and they couldn't get investment, and they couldn't get anything. Now we're a $630 billion industry. What does it take, you think? I mean, whether it's for your competitions or other things, what is it going to take to get the space elevator to not be a redheaded stepchild, to make it go a little more mainstream within the entire ecosystem? What will it take? That's my question of the night.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to that question, but there's definitely we're definitely seeing that direction happening, and now you're starting to see it a lot more in pop culture. Starting to see a lot more just as a general concept. I think there's an understanding that the general understanding that rockets don't scale, and the general understanding that we're also going to space. We're going there for sure. Now with the competition specifically, and with everything after, we're always going to keep it. It's a lot of value generation, and that's not specifically the money in it. And obviously, that's a very important part and a main part of one of the main parts of it. But there's also just the value that gets created, and that's I think the competition speak to specifically. But then there's also that hope, that future of what can we have with a space elevator versus what will we have if we just don't build something like this and still continue accessing space and still continue expanding with what we can do, but within our constraints. And then again, as that idea spreads, and again, just by bringing it in front of people and getting it out there, it does require some maybe push, and then an acceptance by the public. There obviously are, you know, the fear of it. There's the thing is, even with space and just understand this, it's still very niche from a global perspective. A lot of people don't think about space. Michael, you mentioned earlier that, you know, someone's talking about the Artemis right now, and that's a big thing that just comes up, and people talk about it then. But space needs to become something that's mainstream, and the space elevator is after that. It's shipping routes. It's not the airplanes. It's not these cool, quick, easy to transport things. It's this consistent, rough, ugly infrastructure that we need to scale an economy. And right now, the space economy, again, is built on photons. It's built on sending something there, and then, you know, what can we transport back and forth for free and grow. But ultimately, it has stuff. There's so much value in terms of what we can manufacture there, in terms of the power generation, in terms of resources. They're there. It's just, when can we get to accessing them and bringing them back and forth? And then in a world of abundance, in this world that we're trying to get to, where we have more than we need, we need to have ways of increasing our throughput or our capability to have resources significantly. And I think that understanding of space is the answer for that. First of all, speaks to the entire space industry right now, but then also speaks to the future of space access. And then to that, you know, space elevator is really what can unlock that. It's the only way. And again, even that, importantly, the space elevator is a big a broad concept, right? There's just someone that's looked at now that the maglev ideas, and there's so many different ways of doing a space elevator, but the concept of using friction or using the force other than propulsion to get to space, where we're not limited by the rocket equation, is what we need to do. And again, it doesn't have the same limitations that it will have, and allows us to scale. So yeah, and then as you're saying, also, yeah, more PR, more outreach, and again, it's just sharing this idea enough, and the only way to do it is by continuing to do it, and we're seeing that reach. It just needs to keep growing and scaling.
So let's pretend it's gonna work. What does the 5-year and 25-year mark look like? Pull out your crystal ball. What does 25 and 5 years look like? And we only have 3 minutes.
So yeah, from an outreach side, I think in 5 years we have W spec on all continents. We have multiple competitions a year. We have the global finals. That's a massive push on the outreach side. It's sharing the idea with technicians there. It's also sharing the idea from a importantly, STEAM, right? There's also the arts. There's also things that are maybe not the specific business or hardware side of things, which is, again, very important for getting into general public. By doing that on the side and coming through that, again, there's also the PR side and pop culture and growing the concept of this as a necessary future. So that's 5 years. And then 25 years, we should have all the technology figured out fully. We should have we should know exactly what we need to do and exactly how we need to do it, have that full plan made up, and then begin the construction and really, or be in the middle of the construction at that point if everything goes, perfectly. But
so you think within 25 years, the space elevator will finally be an idea whose time has come?
I think before then it'll be an idea to have it come. I think by 25 years we'd have we know exactly how we're building it and have all the resources to do it, and it'll just be a time issue of now. Okay, how do we come with funds to actually build it? Yeah, that's 25 years.
Okay, I hope to make it. I want to see that. I'll be in my 90s, but okay, that's okay. All right, on that, Mordy Friedman, CEO of World Space Elevator Competitions. Live long and prosper. And I hope you guys do very, very well in your competitions coming up soon. Congratulations on getting all that together and growing that. I love this idea. I wish you all the success in the world. And obviously, as things progress, we will have you back.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So
stick around for the post-game show. Okay. What did I just do? There it is. Okay, here's something interesting we're going to be doing on Monday. We're hosting what I guess we call the Money Show, where the three of us are going to be interviewed by somebody.
Joe, yep.
Yep, you don't know the name of this guy?
Joseph Lauren. Sorry.
Joseph Lauren. Okay, he's going to come in and basically interview us about all the things that we do and why we do them and what gets us up in the morning. It should be a fun little reversal of fortune. And we'll probably get some bizarre questions that we, joke on. And so that'll be even more entertaining. So you got to show up for this. We're all going to be put on the spot.
Yep.
On Monday's show.
It's going to be a different kind of show. He's a student out in Pennsylvania. He's asking about space and money and how do we do what we do. And so we're going to, all three of us, Sean, Tom, and I are all going to be on as guests, and he's going to ask questions. And I don't know what the questions are going to be. I don't think they're going to be easy questions. So it should be interesting.
I better choose my hat carefully for that day. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. And on that, for Michael Lane and Sean Key, I remain Thomas Andrew Olson. Keep watching the skies.